This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, Slater wraps up the interview, and we move into another match here. It's the great Kabuki. He's in the ring, and Kendo Nagasaki is Kabuki. What did you think of Kabuki and his work?
Pretty polished, actually. Of course, look at him work those nunchucks. That's not an act. At some point, he mastered those. And, as far as how extensive his martial arts, experience was, he just convinced me he could at least work those nunchucks. And he had a great look. I mean, you got to look at that. It's your classic foreigner, who's under the mask, nasty looking heel. And like I said, the guy is probably got a mouth full of, there it goes. Who knew what that green stuff was? I wasn't going to ask him.
The mist. It became a staple with Muda, but it really begins with Kabuki.
We all take from each other.
That's right.
If you go back to the beginning of time, there's stuff that in the very beginning, I bet some guys 20 years later took a version of and stole. So Kabuki's right now has the mist and very aggressive.
Did you ever get hit with the mist, Arn? Was it painful?
Not from him, and I don't remember if I got a feeling Muda must have got me at some point, but I just don't recall it. But, buddy, hey, stuff would blind you. Whatever it was, I don't know what it was, but if it got in your eyes, it would blind you. And from that point on, blind men don't do very well in contact sports.
It was green and it was liquid and it was coming at people's eyes. That's all we need to know about that stuff. Forget it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Paul Jones, he's a guy that was in the Carolinas virtually forever, had a lot of different roles, but was more or less a mainstay and good guy to do the talking for.
Perfect.
For Kabuki there, right?
Yeah, you needed a mouthpiece, I'm sure, especially when it comes to interviews. And during watching some of Tony Schiavone's podcast, they're doing the watch along at 86. Paul Jones promos can be a little hard to watch. There's certainly no Arn Anderson level, but he still gets the job done. And man, they were believable when I was a kid.
Well, that's a nice thing to say. I mean, Paul had his own style.
Yep.
Basically, he was a very loyal employee, which is what carried a lot of the weight with
Gotcha.
As long as he was with JCP. He was somebody that the Crockett's could trust and very loyal to their company.
And a guy that was a wrestler at one point that made a nice transition into being that mouthpiece, that manager type role that was really big, that got really big in the 80s when you think about some of the managers at the time.
Yeah, that's for sure. And there's something to be said that if you start with a company and you spend a lot of time there and you're very loyal to you, it's nice to know that down the road they would be loyal back and you would have a position with the company. And that's pretty much Paul's situation, which I think is a good thing.
Well, Kabuki picks up the win here in what looks like kind of a modified Texas Cloverleaf. Tommy Young, to your point, again, officiating this one. But it was an impressive victory for Kabuki. They're showing the highlight here and the reversal into the corner and then into that move. Really good stuff here from the great Kabuki. If you're not familiar with him, this is the classics that you can go back and watch, whether it be on Peacock when they finally get around to it or YouTube. Search for this NWA Classic Wrestling. It's a lot of good stuff here.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.